Now let's start to create a new catalog. First, we'll fill in some tables with all the managerial information concerning the articles that we will want to treat as sales articles. In this lesson, we want to begin the creation of a small kitchen catalog. It will be our goal for the entire lesson. To define the names of the rules that we'll use for this catalog, the main ones will be only three: a rule for the bases, a rule for the cabinets, and a rule for the columns. Prepare some data for the versions. See at the end how the database is structured after the data insertion. This reconnects us to what we have seen in the previous lessons, and therefore we may also make some considerations on the possibility to import the data from external databases, which happens quite often. Therefore, let's proceed. Let's launch the 3CAD program, making sure to be on the catalog named tutorial. Let's go to the procedure entry and push the association button, and we are ready to insert the new classifications or typologies. Let's proceed directly with the creation of the typologies. Now we right click on the mouse, add a new group, insert the group's name 0100 that we'll name base units. Let's proceed this way to create all of the different groups. When we create a subgroup, 0101 is a subgroup of 0100. It opens anyway a tree. At this point, we may write the description and proceed. We have completed the table, inserting a series of elements, bases, cabinets, columns, and other elements. At this point, let's go over every single entry of the list and insert the articles we need. For example, let's start with the bases, with the door, and insert an article code. Let's insert an article. It has two sides, therefore we insert the code twice. Then it may have a right and left. Its description is base unit 1, door 45. Its dimensions are 450, it's always in millimeters, 720 in height, and 570 in depth. The rule. We explain better later on the meaning. We'll write BA for the time being. Even in this case, we proceed completing the database article per article and see what the result would be. When, like in this case, there are many articles to write, therefore we use a utility for the mass work present in the program. Let's go to Setup, the Setup screen. Under the Entry Backup, select the articles and press the Creation button. A Articoli CSV file will be created. This file is present in the folder in which the program is inserted. We open the file with Excel, and we may manually modify or manually create the single information. Then at a later stage, we may import the file using the dedicated utility within the program. Let's go back to the program on Setup. We use Articles Import. We select the file to open, that must be in the CSV format, and proceed with the importation. After importing all of the articles, we have a database officially complete on which to begin to work on. The models management. We create a certain number of models. We have used 3-digit encoding. If we want to have longer codes or shorter ones, we have to enter in the configuration of the catalog and change lunghezza codice modello. It's easy to create a new model. For example, we can create model modern and save it. Nothing else is required. Let's proceed with the other models. Let's also create a model common to the various other models. Obviously, model 99 exists, which dedicate to the woodworking or the archetypes. At this point, let's go back to the associations and let's associate the single articles to the different models. It's quite simple. The moment we point out that this article is available on this model, a copy is created on Articoli. Let's do it for all three models. The number 3 model doesn't work. For example, allow the 120 element. We will not use the common or the woodwork model. Let's move on with the other models. When we arrive to the others, we'll enable them only for the common model, while the archetypes are only enabled for the 999 model, the one we use for the archetypes. We have terminated with this. It's also possible with this function to pass to a second management, the price basic management. The articles are inserted on the grid and are not highlighted, and it's possible to set for each article a fixed price. It can be done this way, for example, for a particular price list. The enabled default price list is called 001. We can change the price list by entering the generic tables, which are in this position. Recalling the table L1, the price list, we can eventually create other price lists. Each price list has a numeric code, a description, and information pertaining the round-off of the final price. In this tutorial, we will not use as a base this price list management because we will get the prices directly from the formulas. In this system, it's also possible to create configuration variants. We will see later on the function of this option. Let's verify the work done so far. Entering into the configurator, selecting the catalog, we see the presence of 5 models. Selecting the modern model, we haven't inserted any image yet. We will get back to it later. We see how the research tree has already been created for the different articles. Already selecting an article, even if we don't have an image yet, since it's not the case to create one now, not having yet created the rule for the articles list, inserting them. On the quotation, we already find the result of our search. The sales code article is commonly formed by the Modello code combined to the neutral code, as it has previously been said. Let's verify on the database. The article's price for which we have defined it is already set in automatic mode. No graphic information has been inserted at this stage. Let's try to modify this search. As you may see, the articles aren't organized by dimension. The 30 base is second after the 120 base. This is no good. Furthermore, here we would like to show, for example, some other articles as the Jolly base that are used on normal cases but are referred to the special bases. Let's do what's necessary to set up these two operations. We have returned to the associations and inserted the arrangement. This guarantees the arrangement of the articles in the sequence we have set them. It's possible to put any number. The number is taken in consideration for the arrangement purposes. Now let's take the special bases and allocate them to the tables. Right-click on the mouse, connect classification 01, 02. This way, going back to the 0102 classification, we'll also find the Jolly base. It has been put at the end. We can decide a different sequence. Are we okay with this, or do we want to put it elsewhere? Going back to the configurator, we see how the bases with doors behave differently. First the Jolly base, and last the 120 base. Concerning the connections, it's possible to connect every element to more branches of the search tree. In this case, you can just simply connect the classification. For example, the 01, 03. We'll find the terminal element in this element, in this other element, in this other element, and so on. Every element could have a different arrangement. We see it in yellow. We can change it. It's not a copy of the article, but only a link. Another interesting subject. Let's see the models list. Even the 100 model. The 100 model is not a real model in its intentions, but it becomes something common to all 3 models. This is why we must remove it from this list. Let's enter the model 100 management to disable it and save it. This will assure us that the model is not visible from the outside. At the same time, we open the number 001 model, and let's say that the 100 model is allowed as a prefix. Let's do the same thing for the number 2. Let's save it and leave the number 3 model untouched so as to see the difference. Going back to the model's header screen, we see that the 100 model disappeared. Selecting the number 1 model, we also see that the Altri entry appears, in which in reality it doesn't refer to number 1 model but to the 100 model. We may insert them here. On the quotation, we will see anyway the original prefix 100. Similarly, if we choose instead the number 3 model, in which we haven't inserted this type of setting, we see that no trace of the others exists. Let's move on to the technical part. We open the SQL Server Management Studio connected to the tutorial database and see the tables one by one which have been involved. In the Tipologia table, as we may have expected, codes and descriptions have been written, and that's it. The other fields aren't normally used. In the Neutri table, it has been reported what we have seen in the associations mask. That is the articles code, the eventual right code, the description, the affinity typology, the dimensions, and the associated drawings. Let's move on to the Modelli table, which is also quite simple. Let's see the following information. The company code, the null present in the company field means that the model isn't shown. We also see the prefixes allowed inserted on model 1 and model 2. The articuli table has been automatically created, actually mixing when we made the associations Modello and Neutro. The cells code is always the sum of the Modello code and the Neutro code. Here's why a single dimension is required for the models code in order to have an optimum management of the code. Anyway, this is the information. The BJ15 code has been connected to different other topologies. In this case, we have a connection on the ArtLink table. When we have set the sales price of 2 articles, they have been inserted 2 lines of the ArtList table. Price list code 001, validity, date, articles code, and price. The program manages the validity dates, but only on a normal importation. It doesn't exist on FreeCAD's user interface, the possibility to define validity date for the prices.